There's a word you've heard more than any other word in your life. Not love, not your favorite song, one word. You've heard it in classrooms, across crowded airport terminals, in waiting rooms where your name decides when you're seen. You've signed it on every document that matters. Mine is Brown, Ray Brown. And in my family, there are Carters too. Just regular American names. At least that's how they feel. If you're an American, you already know the broad history. This isn't a surprise. Enslaved Africans didn't arrive here with surnames recognized by the legal system. We had names, lineage, language, regions, tribes. But once you're absorbed into a system that classifies you as property, the system doesn't preserve your identity. It replaces it. Many of us were given the surname of the person who legally owned our ancestors. It's hard to even think about that right now. Owned. That wasn't symbolic. That was written into law. And here's the part that we don't really sit with. That surname might not represent the first person who owned our bloodline. It might represent the last one because we were bought, sold, transferred, inherited. Families were separated. Ownership changed hands. So the name that survived in our lineage may simply be the name attached at the moment emancipation froze the record. Not where our story began, just where the transaction stopped. Sit with that. When slavery ended, we didn't get our original names back. We got freedom and paperwork, but to buy land, to marry legally, to function inside the system, we needed a fixed last name or surname. So the name that once marked ownership became the name we used to survive. We know that part. But knowing the origin isn't the same as unpacking the inheritance. Your brain treats your name as identity. You could be in a crowded room, not paying attention. Someone says your name, Ray, you turn instantly. That's wiring. From childhood, that word gets attached to pride, correction, achievement, embarrassment, belonging. It becomes fused to who you believe you are. And your brain doesn't question repetition. Like someone sneezes, you say, bless you. You don't research it. You don't debate it. You just say it. Repetition turns history into habit. So when we've been answering to the same surname our entire lives, a surname that may have entered our bloodline through a chain of transactions, at what point does that stop being history and starts being identity? Some people refused to carry it quietly. When Malcolm X replaced his surname with a single letter, he was acknowledging that something had been erased. When Muhammad Ali refused to answer to the name given at birth, he was rejecting an ownership trail he didn't consent to. That wasn't performance. That wasn't hype. That was authorship. Living in Central Europe sharpens this for me. Here, when I experience hostility, it's usually centered around nationalism. I'm clearly not from here, so the tension is about borders. But there isn't a domestic history here of legally owning people who look like me. In America, that history is embedded. There was a time a white man could legally own a black man and pass that ownership into the next generation. That was economic structure. So when wealth accumulated, it accumulated somewhere. Land moved through families. Capital moved through families. Access moved through families. And of course, the surnames, someone's last name, moved too. So today, when two people share the same last name, they may be sharing the spelling, but they may not be sharing the same inheritance. One line may have received assets, the other received labels. And we carry that label forward without always asking what it carried with it. And sometimes I think about something else. If we still had our original surnames, our real ones, how much would that change? Our name would tell us what region we came from, what language our ancestors spoke, what tribe do we belong to. It would anchor us to a specific place on the map. We wouldn't have to mail off saliva to a lab and wait for percentages. We would already know, the way our brothers and sisters on the continent know already. Their last names carry geography. Ours often carry interruption. Because imagine what it would feel like to introduce yourself and not hear just survival in your name, but origin. I'm Ray Brown. That's the word I answer to. The word tied to my lineage in the United States of America.